All right, guys, so these are two bikes. They're perfect examples of why you use quality parts. This is my Enduro Zuma. That's what I call it here. Thanks, Steven, Canada, made these stickers for me. These bikes, and that's Ed's bike over here. These bikes were both mint, pretty much when we bought them. They're older drum style pre-bugs. And for the guys asking about how to run trail tacks, if you have a metal bracket, that's how I did mine. So I've got a magnet up there and I just bend this metal bracket around. So these bikes have been through hell and back. Mine personally, several guys have seen me jump it over and over and over at the crawl. It's been through snow, like 12 inches of snow. I don't know how many miles on the street, wide open throttle. It's been in Canada. I did Super Sunday flawlessly 2 years ago. It's been in dirt, over rocks, in sand. So this thing's been used and abused. I hit a curb with this thing. Going about 45 miles an hour head on. It popped me about 3 feet up off the seat, and I somehow landed it, and it still works. So it really doesn't make any sense, but it does. So if you guys want bikes to beat on, these are bulletproof, but you have to use good parts. So as you can see, my bikes, I've got the Trail Tech Vapor, I've got the hand guards LED, and everything's. I haven't even messed with this bike since I jumped it and crashed at the crawl last year, and I'm planning on fixing it again, which all I need is, I don't really need anything, but probably fresh gear oil, because it's probably full of sand and mud. So straight bar clamp, straight bars, like $70 worth of parts to do that. It's really easy on these bikes. LED light from who knows where. I've got Duro tires I've had on there for about 2.5 years. But I mean, this thing has been through, I mean, it's aesthetically it's destroyed, but somehow these panels are all busted out too. So these are my sweet bags, carry beer and or gas. Anyway, so this thing's got, I mean, it's filthy. This is stage 6 filter I've been running. Again, all this is 3 years, Polini CP, and then I've got the stage 6 intake manifold. I've never cleaned this carburetor, I've never had to. It doesn't make any sense how it still works, but it does. I mean, you can see this thing is just wrecked, but it runs perfect. I've had, like I said, I've had this thing buried up to the transmission in sand. Up in Canada, we found a big sand pit, and we're jumping these things. And I've had sand literally in the clutch. And I've got the Polini Evo overrange kit, stage 6 clutch, stage 6 bell. This has got the Polini Evo 10mm crank and the MXS Sport board. And then I have stock gears in it still. Sweet lift kit for doing rad jumps. Again, not sure how any of this stuff is still working, but it is. And then I've got the Polini. This is the Polini Evo pipe. It's an older style pipe. I actually got this from Joe a long time ago used. Shrouds on there really nice and tight there, as you can see. I had a pipe guard there. I don't know where it went, but at the crawl, when I jumped it and wrecked it, the only reason this thing wouldn't start is because it's packed full of dirt. As you can see, it's not the original silencer either, so pretty much every panel's broken on this bike, but that's what adds the charm, in my opinion. See what we got in here? Bungee cords / toe straps, spare tire kit, as you can see, JDM tail light, license plate, which I'm sure doesn't belong, well, I know it doesn't belong on this bike at all. Okay, so this is Ed's bike. We did we swapped him over to a dual two-seater because he's got some extra girth. So we wanted to give this region here more seating for his rear end. And then it's got the bigger tank as well, because the single, which a lot of guys probably aren't aware of, the single seater has a smaller tank. It's tiny, and the 2-seaters have a big tank, so it's almost twice the size. So he's rocking a Yasuni C16, I'm sorry. And this is something that pipe guard I cobbled together 2.5 years ago out of a piece of conduit, some steel, because again, these things, we don't really care about aesthetics. They're just for beating on. He's got the Koso gauge on his. I don't know why the wrapping's still on it, but it is. So this bike here, he's running the Polini Evo crank as well. I don't know if he's got an overrange. Let's see here. He's got a Polini CP. Nope, he's got a full-size Polini 24. He's rocking the Stage 6 intake. Looks like he's got the Malossi overrange Polini Evo cover. Looks like maybe a Malossi clutch Stage 6 bell. And he's got a Speedo pickup back here. That's a Moto4 shock. He did the JDM tail on that and the 2-seater rack as well. This bike, I've seen go through mud holes. Basically same thing this other bike's gone through. I've seen it. We've gotten this bike back and had to squeeze this air filter and had just mud water pour out of the air filter. He's got a Polini Corsa with the Polini Evo 10mm crank. So stock gears as well on this one. And he's got the same Duro tires. These tires are really good all around. They're great on the street, and they're good in the dirt and sand and mud and snow. So, anyways, these are two bikes that kind of started it all for us. We bought them for $500. I don't know, 3.5, 4 years ago. But this one is quick. I mean, it'll pull the wheel up no problem. I mean, I've had this thing get out from underneath me a few times. The MXS bore, if you tune them right, they last forever. They're super, super strong. You can't go wrong with the Corsa either. So we know how to set these things up. If you want something to beat on in the trails and whatnot, these things are great. And then there's David's here. That's a good wheelie, solid street setup. But anyways, just want to show you guys the importance of using good parts, because as you can see, these things have been just destroyed. They have just been beat on over and over and over. And they will get beat on again this weekend. And they still run great. So they don't overheat. No problems. These things have probably been the most reliable bikes we've ever had. And they're also the ones that are the most beat on. So you guys got questions about building these pre-bugs, let us know. We'll get you dialed and set up for your needs, whether you want a street bike or something like this to take out in the woods and destroy.